How do you leave her craving more from you? Now, I'm not sitting here and I'm not going to start spewing some dark triad methods for how you can manipulate her and get her to love you and be toxic. I'm not talking about that. If you're looking for that shit, click off this video, right? It's actually very simple. So I'm going to need you to follow along. And if you need to, rewatch this video, all right? So, most of you probably already have the answers, but you're too scared to take action. That tends to be how it is. So, I'm going to need you to promise yourself that you're actually going to lock in this time. You're going to actually follow what I'm saying so that you can get her to crave more from you. All right, so first of all, let's presume that you're already talking to a woman. You're going to eventually meet up with her. You're in the process of meeting up with her, or you have already met up with her, or you're planning to, whatever it is. You've already called, you've already texted, whatever it is. So let's make one specific thing clear. The goal is to meet up with that person. We're not here to create texting buddies with the girl. We're not here to waste our own time. We're not here to bullshit and cap, and we're here to let our intentions be known. We want to be around that woman. We want to show her the energy that we have, which is going to make or break it and build the connection, right? So let's assume that you're in the situation. So this is going to be the game plan. First of all, you have to remind yourself she's just a woman, meaning that you have to stop putting her on a pedestal. You have to stop having high expectations for the woman that you think she's going to be, because she's just the woman that she is. She's not going to be some magical woman that, changes your life if you're with her. A woman is meant to complement your life. She's not meant to change your entire life. You're the man. You're the leader. You're the one that leads the relationship. She shouldn't come into your world and completely change your world and make you 100 million times more happy. Realistically, it should be the other way around, if anything. Okay? Now, I'm not saying a woman can't make you happy, but what I'm saying is a woman shouldn't be the sole source of your happiness. That's just a bad way to view the world, right? So don't have these unrealistic expectations. Don't have these unrealistic expectations that everything's going to be perfect all the time. That's just relationships with people, bro. Relationships with people are going to have ups, they're going to have downs, they're going to have highs, they're going to have lows. That's just life, right? Life has ups and downs. Relationships exactly mirror that as well, right? You don't know how she's going to respond to certain things you say, so you're not going to be able to control every aspect of that relationship. And I guess that's the first thing between a guy that leaves a long-lasting impression and guys that don't. Right? Guys that don't care too much about how things turn out with women, they don't walk on eggshells. They're not overly careful. They're not scared to be authentically themselves. And that's the main difference. You have to understand that a woman can sense when you're too scared to talk properly. You're too scared to talk authentically because you're scared that she's going to judge you a specific type of way. You're scared that if you present your real self, she's not going to like you for who you actually are. So then instead you walk on eggshells and pretend you're someone that you're not. And as a byproduct, if you get rejected, she didn't reject the actual part of you that you authentically are. She just rejected an image that you're projecting into the world that isn't actually you. So you have to understand that authenticity is the number one thing, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to understand that if she doesn't like that authentic version of you, who you are at your core, then you're never going to be able to truly connect with that person. Your relationship would be miserable if you're pretending to be someone you're not, and you're going to end up resenting her. You're going to end up resenting your relationship, and therefore it's just going to be a disaster. So my honest thought is, don't pretend to be someone you're not. Be who you actually are, and you will find someone that you do click with. It's not going to be the first time, I guarantee it. It may be in some rare instances, but 99% of the times, it's not going to be the first person you meet, right? And you're not going to be able to authentically click with everyone. Sometimes you might say something, it offends someone, and because it offends someone, they don't like it, and therefore you don't connect with them well. And that's completely fine. It doesn't matter, because you have to understand that that's just life. You're not going to be able to connect with everyone on an authentic level, right? Being authentic is understanding that you'll never be able to connect with every person you meet. So you have to realize that authenticity is what leaves that long-lasting connection in her mind. It leaves that impression in her mind, making her want to crave more, right? But it will only work on women that you can actually connect with. That's the caveat. That's the thing that you have to realize. You're not going to be able to connect with every woman, but the women that you do connect with, the one woman that you do find that you do connect with, it's going to be the best connection you've had, right? And this all stems from, authenticity specifically stems from knowing who you are internally and bringing that to the table, right? In every interaction you have. Because, I mean, even if you do meet a girl and she doesn't like what you say, your conviction in what you say and how much you polarize her will still leave a long-lasting impression on her. She might not like the things you say. She might not like, what you're saying and how you're presenting certain topics, and maybe she just doesn't like your tone of voice, but she's still going to respect you more than if you're walking on eggshells and you're being a little bullshit artist and you're not being authentically yourself, right? You're not here to validate her by agreeing with everything she says, right? You're not looking for her approval in the words you speak. You're just being you. The men that look for approval from women are the weak type of men. These are the men that she doesn't actually fuck with because she can sense that they're not being authentic. And trust me, women are going to be able to detect when a man is and isn't authentic. That's just how women are. They can smell that shit from a mile away, right? But you have to understand that most importantly, it's about depth. It's about depth in conversation, because that will leave a huge impression on her mind. Whether that's positive or negative, that's up to you. And whether you connect with that woman or not, that's up to you. But you can talk about everything and anything in the world, but the conversations that leave the longest lasting impressions on people's minds are the conversations that they remember. And you have to also remember that women play the game of life in the mental plane. They play in the mental field. So if they play life up here, it means that if you can create a mental impact on her mind, then you can actually leave a long-lasting impression, making her want to crave more. So how do you make them want to crave more? It's through depth in conversation. It's not through talking about, a million different things. It's about understanding that you can speak about the one topic for 3 hours and get lost in talking about that, and that will leave a better impression on her mind than talking about 300 different things just to fill the void of time. Because that's what a lot of guys do. They have no intention when they're speaking to not just women, but anyone. They have no intention with the words they speak. Therefore, they're just speaking a whole bunch of nothing. No one remembers what they're saying. They don't have conviction in what they say, and no one gives a shit about them, right? She wants to be able to feel something when she's talking to you. Emotion, connection. She wants to experience your humor. She wants laughter, sadness, to be annoyed by you, to feel your love and energy. She wants to feel everything. Women love being emotional. As much as they hate certain emotions, or they might pretend they hate certain emotions, women love being emotional because that helps them connect with people. Women want to experience everything. They want to build connections, and they do that up here, bro. They want to feel a mental connection with that person. A woman's not going to be able to build a connection just off of the physical. If you're a good looking dude, but your personality is dead and you're dry and you don't know how to talk properly, you don't know how to hold conversation, you don't know how to stimulate her mind, she's going to get bored, she's going to leave, and she's not going to give a shit about being with you anymore because your personality is dust. You're dead. You're boring. You're finished, bruv. So understand that depth in conversation makes her want to crave more. Right? She wants to get to know you more. She wants to know the aspects of you. She wants to learn different things of life. She wants to understand all the intricacies of how your mind works and how you think and what you can teach her and what you can say in conversation. Because most guys out here are boring as fuck. They walk on eggshells. They don't care about, stimulating her mind because they're just boring. They got nothing going on for themselves. They're not constantly learning and teaching themselves. They've got nothing to bring to the table. This is why you have to develop your ability to speak and hold interesting conversations because a woman is a mental being. If you tap into that and stimulate her mind, you'll leave a better impression than Dave and Michael because Dave and Michael didn't stimulate her mentally. They only talked about the weather, her favorite color, her favorite song, the color of her hair, blah, 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 a million different things. And it didn't actually build a good connection with her up here in her mind, right? They only hit the surface. They never understood and they didn't understand how to fully unlock the scope of her mental plane. They didn't understand that you can unlock a completely different side to a woman if you're actually able to build that deeper connection with her. A woman would do so much for you if you're actually deeply able to invest and connect with her. This is why so many guys go wrong with women. They think, oh my goodness, I have to be good looking, I have to be good, well presented. But if you're not, it might work out in some cases, but if you don't know how to speak properly, if you don't know how to properly articulate yourself, properly lead the relationship, properly stimulate her mentally, then she's gonna have a boring time, right? The relationship might last months, years, maybe, but you're not gonna be able to build a good, proper connection with her long term, bro, because you're boring. You must make her want to crave more. And you do that through being a person of substance, providing value in whatever way that is. Teaching, leading, being a man that can care, but also a man that can just absolutely brutalize and fight someone like that. Because you have so many skills and attributes in every aspect of your life because you level everything up. You level every attribute up, and that makes you a man that is valuable, a man that makes her want to crave more. This whole idea of high value man is just thrown out there so much, right? And obviously looks, money, clothes, whatever the fuck they tell you to level up in the red pill space can be important, but you're not going to build a good connection with her long term if you're not able to stimulate her mind. Bro, you could be dead broke living on the street, but she'll fucking still ride or die for you because of how you are as a man, how you inspire her to be a better woman. The man that you are, the man that can lead, the man that stands 10 toes on his principles and doesn't fold no matter what. And that's the type of man that women are literally craving for nowadays because they're not in abundance. They're so scarce. They're not really around. The man that can lead a relationship, take care of her, etc., and have all those other attributes and still, be able to handle her bullshit while also making her want to crave more from you because you're such an interesting person, right? All of these things. Not many men have all of these attributes. So it's up to you as a man to level all of these things up, right? And you do that through being conscious of where you're lacking, if you are lacking, and making improvements. Sometimes in areas that are lacking, you might not be good, so you compensate more in certain other areas. But it's just about figuring out where you need to tee up, where you need to become better, become a more well-rounded man. And you do that through experience as well, okay? So to leave that long-term lasting impression, it's about stimulating her mind. And you're not going to be able to do it through just looking good as a man, because that's not what women look for in a man. So remember that.